Mr. Howell?
Here.
Mr. Lockwood?
Here.
Ms. Price?
Yes.
Chair Davenport?
Here. Unless there's any changes to the minutes from last month, a motion to approve, please.
So move.
Second.
A motion by Ms. Atkinson, second by Mr. Lockwood.
Ms. Atkinson?
Yes.
Mr. Ferguson?
Yes.
Dr. Fitz?
Yes.
Mr. Howell?
Yes.
Mr. Lockwood?
Yes.
Ms. Price?
Yes.
Chair Davenport?
Yes. Before we begin our hearing tonight, our esteemed counselor, Mr. Hoy Hodges, will tell you what you have to do in order to get your request approved or denied.
Yeah.
Mr. Hodges?
Mr. Chairman, on all of these applications tonight, I'd ask that the comprehensive plan and all of its elements be made a part of the record. The staff reports, along with any exhibits which may be contained in those reports, should also be made a part of the record. And we need to swear in Amy Scott and Rachel Hurt and Jenny Willoughby and recognize their qualifications as zoning administrators for the purpose of giving testimony tonight.
You ladies swear to tell the truth?
Yes, sir.
We're not swearing Ben in tonight?
Yes, sir.
Thank you,
Okay.
just in case.
We're ready. Let's see, the first four items on the agenda tonight are all requests for either a variance and a waiver. And there's certain findings that the board must make, and these are very similar because they both arise from KRS 100.243. The board must find that the requested variance will not adversely affect the public health, safety, or welfare, that it will not alter the essential character of the general vicinity, that it will not cause a hazard or a nuisance to the public, that it will not allow an unreasonable circumvention of the requirements of the zoning regulation. And with respect to a waiver, there's additional findings set forth in section 3.8.4 that the board must make. The other items are all requests for conditional use permits, and those are the findings are required are set forth in section 3.9.5 of the zoning ordinance. On each of these, the board must find that the requested conditional use is not detrimental to the public health, safety, or welfare in the zone in which it is proposed, that it will not contribute toward an overburdening of municipal services, that it will not cause that it does not constitute a nuisance, that it adequately addresses the review criteria in section 3.9.4 of the zoning ordinance, and it also meets any other requirements such as specific use standards. And on each of these, there are specific use standards that would apply to the requested use. Now, I mentioned the review criteria in section 3.9.4, and I want to emphasize this because it states that the applicant has the burden of proof of adequately addressing the review criteria as it may pertain to the requested use. And one criteria is compatibility. So it makes no difference if you're requesting a bed and breakfast or a short-term rental or a home occupation. They're all requests for conditional use permit. And again, section 3.9.4 says that you must adequately address the review criteria, which includes compatibility. So just keep that in mind. If anyone's dissatisfied with the decision rendered here tonight, you have 30 days to file an appeal, and that would go directly to Warren Circuit Court. In order to prevail, you need a pass vote, a majority of those present. I believe that's it, Mr. Chairman.
All right. Thank you, sir.
I said pass vote, you need an affirmative vote. So pass vote's not going to get you anywhere.
That doesn't count. All right. We've got a rather lengthy agenda tonight. I think it's our second longest one since I've been here, neither here nor there. But we do move along pretty fast. So if you'll bear with us, we'll get through this pretty quickly as we can. Our first request tonight, Habit for Humanity of Bowling Green, Warren County, Inc., care of Rodney Goodman and Kyle Golden, has filed an application requesting 18-foot variance from the 25-foot building setback line along Fair Street in order to build a home on the property located on east corner of Woodford Avenue and Fair Street. This property is zoned NB Neighborhood Business. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We had a pre-application meeting for the property located, as you said, on the corner of Woodford Avenue and Fair Street back in March. The existing zoning or current zoning of the property is neighborhood business. Current land use is vacant. And then here are some images for your all's reference of the site. And then here is their site plan for you all to look at as well. They are requesting a variance of 18 feet from the required 25-foot front building setback along Fair Street in order to construct a single-family home. Looking down to the zoning ordinance reference, there are a couple of provisions that we're looking at with this. So section 4.6.8.K1, residential uses. Residential uses in an NB zone shall follow the RS1D property development standards. And then those development standards are referenced below that in section 445C1 and 445B. Specifically for corner lots shall be required to provide a front yard setback along any lot line abutting a street. And then the property development standards table references that the front yard setback in the RS1D zone is the 25 feet. And so again, their variance is for 18 feet from the required 25-foot front building setback. Looking over to page 2, for the variance findings, the applicants have submitted a narrative about midway down the page for you all to look at, and the board should consider if the applicants have adequately addressed the findings required for granting the waiver request. In this case, it would be for a variance. And so looking back to page 1 with some points to consider, this is a narrow corner lot, which creates a smaller than normal building envelope and limits development of the site. And a church formerly occupied the site but was demolished in 2021. The church was located in the same general location where the applicants are proposing to construct the new residence. And that's all that I have, but I'm happy to answer any questions.
Very good. Does the board have any questions of the staff? Questions of the staff? And the applicants here? Does the board have any questions of the applicants? Is anyone in opposition to this request? Have any opposition? A please.
Make a motion that we approve the request for a variance, docket number 2025-V-06, a variance of 18 feet from the required 25-foot front building setback. Testimony presented in this public hearing has shown that granting this variance will not adversely affect the public health, safety, or welfare, will not alter the essential character of the general vicinity, will not cause a hazard or nuisance to the public, and will not allow an unreasonable circumvention of the requirements of the zoning regulations. And it is compatible with the other homes in the neighborhood.
This is a proper motion.
Second.
Motion, Dr. Fitz, second by Ms. Atkinson.
Dr. Fitz?
Yes.
Mr. Howell?
Yes.
Mr. Lockwood?
Yes.
Ms. Price?
Yes.
Ms. Atkinson?
Yes.
Mr. Ferguson?
Yes.
Chair Davenport?
Yes, your request has been approved, sir. Thank you very much. Our next request tonight, STNL Nashville Road LLC, care of Brian Kelly, applicant, and Suits Me 3 LLC, care of David Tarter, owner, have filed an application requesting a waiver from the average foot candles permitted on a property and a waiver from the maximum level of foot candles permitted on the property located at 6698 Nashville Road. And this property is zoned HB Highway Business. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We had a pre-application meeting for this property out on Nashville Road back in the beginning of April. Current zoning of the property is highway business in RM4. Current land use is agriculture. And then here are some images just for reference for how the site looked back actually in December before a zone change. So here's their proposed site plan for your all's reference, and they are requesting 2 waivers from the required illumination levels for the overall lighting of the development. So looking down to the zoning ordinance reference, section 468IC2, illumination levels for commercial parking lots. All commercial parking lots shall be lighted with an average 1.5 foot candles, a minimum of 0.2 foot candles, and a maximum of 10 foot candles. And so their waivers are 1, a waiver of 3 foot candles from the average of 1.5 to allow for an average of 4.5 foot candles. And then 2, a waiver of 2.7 foot candles from the maximum of 10 foot candles to allow for a maximum of 12.7 foot candles. So the waiver findings are on the bottom of page 1, and looking over to page 2, where midway down the page, the applicants have provided their narrative, referencing their request. And so looking back to page 1 with some points to consider, the board should consider if the proposed waivers will alter the essential character of the general vicinity, and the board should also consider if the proposed waivers will cause a hazard or nuisance to the public. And that's all that I have, but I'm happy to answer any questions.
Any questions of the staff of this? we're going to ask the applicant a couple of questions, so we'll have an idea what we're doing. But if you got a question of the staff, is someone from the applicant here? Representative from the applicant? Are you the representative? Yeah. Would you step up, please? We just want to kind of get an idea of what we're actually approving.
Why is it gonna have to be so bright?
Hi. Your full name and address, please?
Brian Shirley, 1136 South Park Drive.
You swear to tell the truth, sir?
Yes, sir.
Just a couple of questions.
And you get me by default.
That's fine. None of us electrical engineers, just kind of tell us what this is. I mean, why do you need this? And how does it compare maybe like to a football stadium or to another shopping center? So we'll have an idea of what we're talking about.
I think the client requirements, I don't think we're supposed to say who it is just yet. Their standard requirements exceed the zoning ordinance requirements. They do these developments nationwide. We're still meeting the foot candles at the property line, so it's mainly internal, and they're using LED light fixtures. LED light fixtures are a white light. They come down a little bit more, have a little more intensity. Compared to a sports complex, if it's an athletic field, it's supposed to be minimum 10 for the entire facility. If it's going to be televised, it has to be 15. So we're not going to be as bright as a televised football field or anything like that. And it's as much for security as anything else.
Okay. Do you see any infraction on adjoining property owners with these kind of lights?
Because we're at less than half a foot candle at all the property lines.
All right. Any questions from the board of the applicant? Question from the board?
So this is what's required by the developer?
Right.
And most everybody around here knows who the developer is by now, but,
Yep, but we're still sworn under secrecy.
That's all right.
It's okay.
we've
That's all right.
done this before by different things.
Right.
And, but most of the time before it has not been with this particular type of lighting. So
Right.
you're a lot better off with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Any other questions from Mr. Shirley? Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
All right, thank you.
Any opposition to this request? Any opposition? Motion, please.
I make a motion we approve the request for a waiver, docket number 2025-B-08, a waiver of 3 foot candles from the average of 1.5 foot candles to allow for an average of 4.5 foot candles, and a waiver of 2.7 foot candles from the maximum of 10 foot candles to allow for a maximum of 12.7 foot candles. Testimony presented at this public hearing is shown. The granting of these waivers will not affect the public health, safety, or welfare adversely, will not alter the essential character of the general vicinity, will not cause a hazard or nuisance to the public, will not allow an unreasonable circumvention of the requirements of the zoning regulations, and further find that the waivers will not violate the comprehensive plan, and the extent of waivers of regulation is the minimum necessary to afford relief to the applicant, and the strict application of provisions of the regulations would deprive the applicants of a reasonable use of land or create an unnecessary hardship on the applicants. And this proposal is compatible with other uses of land in the area.
There's proper motion.
Motion, Dr. Fitz, second by Ms. Atkinson.
Dr. Fitz?
Yes.
Mr. Howell?
Yes.
Mr. Lockwood?
Yes.
Ms. Price?
Yes.
Ms. Atkinson?
Yes.
Mr. Ferguson?
Yes.
Chair Davenport?
Yes. You can tell your secret client thing, light them up. Okay. Thank you, Brian, appreciate it. Our next request tonight, Ben Cowan, applicant, and B&T General Contracting, LLC, care of Ben Cowan and Tommy Neal, owner, have filed an application requesting a waiver for an existing accessory structure to be located in front of a future residence located at 151 Mellshed Ferry Road. This property is zoned AG agricultural. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We had a pre-application meeting for the property out on Mellshed Ferry Road on April 4th of this year. The current zoning of the property is ag. Current land use is vacant. And then here are some images of the current structure. And then here is their general site plan. The applicant is requesting a waiver to allow an existing building to be located in front of the proposed residence. Looking down to the zoning ordinance reference, section 434A, with residential development less than 2 acres in size, in this case agricultural development, less than 2 acres in size shall comply with the RE residential estate development standards. And so then looking to those standards, no accessory building or structure shall extend beyond the front of the principal structure unless located on a lot of a minimum of 2 acres. In this case, they are just under 2 acres in size. So the waiver findings are on the bottom of page 1, moving over to page 2, where midway down the page, like the other applications, their narrative has been supplied for you all to reference. And then we'll look back to page 1 with just one point to consider. The property at 151 Mellshed Ferry Road was part of a larger agricultural tract and was subdivided into a smaller building lot that includes the existing garage. There is nowhere on the property that the applicant could construct a home that could meet the zoning ordinance requirements that no accessory building or structure shall extend beyond the front of the principal structure. And that's all that I have for this application, but I'm happy to answer any questions.
Any questions from the staff of the board? Any questions from the staff of the board? Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Is the applicant here? You're the applicant? Does the board have any questions of the applicant? No question? Any opposition to this request? Any opposition? Motion, please.
I'll make the motion to approve the request for a waiver, docket number 2025-B-09. A waiver to allow an existing building to be located in front of the proposed residence. The testimony presented in this public hearing has shown that the granting of these waivers will not adversely affect public health, safety, or welfare, and will not alter the essential character of the general vicinity, will not cause a hazard or a nuisance to the public, and will not allow an unreasonable circumstance of the requirements of the zoning regulations. I further find that the waivers will not violate the comprehensive plan, and the extent of waivers of the regulations is the minimum necessary to avoid relief to the applicant, and either the applicants have incorporated other design measures that indeed exceed the minimums of the district and comprehensive for non-compliance with the requirements to be waived. And this will be accordingly to the property around it.
There's proper motion.
Okay.
Second.
Motion, Mr. Lockwood, second by Ms. Atkinson.
Mr. Lockwood,
Yes?
Ms. Price,
Yes.
Ms. Atkinson,
Yes.
Mr. Ferguson,
Yes.
Dr. Fitz,
Yes.
Mr. Howell,
Yes.
Chair Davenport.
Yes, your request has been approved, sir. Thank you for coming down. Good luck to you. Our next request, NITSUJ Investments LLC, care of Justin Reese and Justin Ortega, have filed an application requesting a 21.34-foot variance from the required 25-foot front building setback line and an 8.01-foot variance from the 10-foot incompatible land use buffer on the property located at the south corner of East 11th Avenue and Chestnut Street. And this property is zoned CB Central Business. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We had a pre-application meeting with the applicants on February 21st of this year for the property located on the south corner of East 11th and Chestnut Street, which is here before you. Current zoning of the property is CB Central Business. Current land use is vacant. And then here are some images of the vacant lot as it is today. And then is there a proposed site plan for your all's reference or variance exhibit. So the applicants are requesting a variance of 21.34 feet from the required 25-foot setback for development in a commercial zone when adjacent to a single-family use. And then they are also requesting a second variance of 8.01 feet from the required 10-foot incompatible land use buffer. So the zoning ordinance references for those two requirements are in the middle of page 1. The first is for commercial districts, in this case CB, a side and rear yard shall have a minimum 25-foot setback when adjacent to single family. And then the second section regards buffers between incompatible land uses, and that buffer minimum is, the buffer minimum width is 10 feet, and they're requesting that variance of 8.01. So the bottom of page 1 and moving over to page 2 are the variance findings, and they have provided the narrative there for you all to read. And the board should consider if the applicants have adequately addressed the findings required for granting a variance. And so we'll look back to page 1 with a couple of points to consider. The first is that the lot is narrow, which creates a smaller than normal building envelope and limits development of the site. And the second is that the variance request will not alter the character of the area, as this property is located downtown, which incorporates mixed-use residential and commercial developments with minimal setbacks between structures. And that's all that I have, but I'm happy to answer any questions.
What is the proposed building?
It looks like it's, I don't know that they've necessarily landed on specific uses, and that may be something to clarify with the applicant, but I think it's a mix of uses.
It's not a house?
No, if it was
Okay.
single family, they wouldn't necessarily have to get the incompatible land use
Okay.
buffer.
Okay. All right, any questions from the staff of the board? All right, is the applicant here? Applicant's here, okay. Does the board have any question of the applicant? You do?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Would you step up, please? Could you give us your full name and address?
Justin Ortega, 657 Cherry Blossom Road, Bowling Green, Kentucky.
Do you swear to tell the truth, sir?
Yes, sir.
Go ahead, Dr. Fitz.
You know, this is a very small parcel of land on a very busy street with with parking very limited. When you drive down 11th Street, the cars are absolutely bumper to bumper all the way up the hill. So I think it will be important for us to know what the proposed use of this modest-sized property is, and how we can, whether or not it will actually be something that can be used.
Yep, so it'll be a two-story building. The first floor will be commercial, two small commercial little offices, and up top will be two apartments.
Commercial.
The bottom floor will just be two commercial small offices, not
Where-
like a storefront or anything like that.
Where will these people who work in this facility, where will they park their cars?
They'll be parking in the rear of the building, covered parking. There'll also be spots in the rear of the building off of Chestnut.
How many parking places will there be back there?
I'm not sure. Yeah.
We need to get your full name and address too, please.
Yeah, Jacob Harris, 1550 Western Street.
And you swear to tell the truth?
Yes, sir.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so on our plan here, you can see we have parking lot, improving the existing parking area that will accommodate 3 spots. And then also the first floor, the first 20 or so foot, after working with the applicant, we'll have parking in within the building footprint that you see as well. So we'll have 5 spots there.
5 spots, but you're going to have 2 small companies there, correct? On the first floor.
That would be a question for the applicant as far
Well,
as
that's
use
what he
goes.
said. And then there's going to be, the second floor is going to be used, what, for housing?
Mhm.
Okay. So we've got to figure this,
Dr. Fitz, may I just add one comment? The zoning of the property is central business, and there are no parking requirements in that zone except for residential, and they're required to have 1 space per residential unit, and they have met those minimum requirements.
So technically, they could get away with 2?
technically they can get away with it.
Yes.
2.
Boy, it's really tight.
Yeah, but it's
Any other question of the applicant? Any other question? Thank you, sir. Any opposition to this request? Any opposition? All right, a motion, please.
I make the motion to approve the request for variances, docket number 2025-V-10, a variance of 21.34 feet from the required 25-foot setback for development in a commercial zone when adjacent to a single-family use, a variance of 8.01 feet from the required 10-foot incompatible land use buffer. The testimony presented in this public hearing has shown that the granting of this variance will not adversely affect the public health, safety, or welfare, will not alter the essential character of the general vicinity, will not cause a hazard or a nuisance to the public, and will not allow an unreasonable circumvention of the requirements of the zoning regulation.
It's a proper motion.
Okay, motion by Ms. Atkinson, second by
Second.
Mr. Lockwood.
Ms. Atkinson?
Yes.
Mr. Ferguson?
Yes.
Dr. Fitz?
No, because I feel like it's sort of a unique situation with residential adjacent to this very small lot.
Mr. Howell?
Yes.
Mr. Lockwood?
Yes.
Ms. Price?
Yes.
Chair Davenport?
Yes, your request has been approved, sir. Thank you very much. Our next request tonight, Ruth Sands has filed an application requesting a conditional use permit to operate a bed and breakfast on the property located at 133 Meadowbrook Court. This property is zoned RS1C, Single Family Residential. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We had a pre-application meeting in February for the property that you mentioned, and it is highlighted in red. The current zoning is RS1C. Current land use is single-family residential. Here are a couple of property photos. And then there is the site plan. And then, again, the applicants are requesting a CUP to operate a bed and breakfast. There's a zoning ordinance reference for Article 5. Conditional use permit is required to operate a bed and breakfast on property zoned RS1C. Below that are the specific use standards for bed and breakfast. Looking over at page 2, under the conditions, the applicant supplied 6 conditions. Number 1, the owner will reside on the property during times of occupancy. Number 2, a maximum of 3 rooms for rent. Number 3, a maximum of 3 guest vehicles in the designated parking area. Number 4, quiet hours will be from 11 p.m. to 7 a.m. Number 5, there will be no signage on the property. Number 6, if the property is ever sold or the applicant ceases the use, the CUP will be null and void. Below that are the conditional use permit findings for your reference. And back to page 1, to the points to consider, the applicant has imposed a condition that the CUP will be null and void upon sale of the property. The property was listed for sale at the time of the authorization of the staff report. So we wanted to make note of that. And that's all we have for staff report. Be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions from the staff of the, from the board? Thank you, ma'am. Applicants are here. Would you step up? Somebody, please. We have a few questions to ask.
Hi, Owner.
Will you give your full name and address, please?
133 Meadowbrook Court, Bowling Green, Kentucky, 42101.
And your name?
Ruth Science.
Okay. You swear to tell the truth, ma'am? You swear to tell the truth?
Yes. Your
Okay, thank you. Obviously, this neighborhood is single-family residential, and poor Whispering Hills has got everything in the world surrounding it on all 4 sides, it seems like. And now you're wanting to open up a business in the middle of the neighborhood.
Yeah.
How does this compatible with that existing family residential?
Gracias, su señoría, por dejarme hablar hoy. Mi nombre es Ruth Sainz y estoy aquí para solicitarle respetuosamente el permiso para operar un hostal. en la
Excuse me a
dirección
minute,
ya
are you
hablada.
speaking in English or Spanish?
Her primary language is Spanish, so I'm her interpreter.
Then somebody's going to have to tell us what she's trying to say in English. if we
Yeah, I
don't
was
speak
gonna let
Spanish.
her speak and then I can
Oh, okay.
interpret, or you want me to go ahead?
We need to swear you in too.
Yes.
What's your name?
My name's Brianna Science,
And your address?
135 Meadowbrook Road in Bowling Green, Kentucky.
Do you swear to tell the truth?
Yes.
All right. Now, let her go ahead and then you repeat. Do you remember the question? How is it compatible with all the single-family
Puedes decir esto.
residences in this neighborhood?
Ya. Tengo un gran interés personal y profesional en crear un espacio acogedor para reflejar el carácter de nuestra comunidad y a la vez aportar un alojamiento y comodidad y para todos los visitantes. Este hostal será más que un simple negocio y es algo planificado específicamente con la intención de agregar valor a nuestro vecindario.
Now I'll say whatever she said. She said, this is a bed and breakfast. This is more than just a bed and breakfast. It's not a business venture, but it's something that we've carefully planned and with the intention of adding value to our neighborhood, supporting local tourism, and preserving the property's historic and unique character. And from what we've seen before, families would like to visit Bowling Green specifically for the students of WKU who are graduating. There's other reasons as well, but we would like to support these families who want to be together in special occasions like graduation. And we've also taken extra steps to make sure that we do not disturb our neighbors. For example, we can see in the picture we have adequate parking, more than enough parking for the 3 bedrooms, 1 for each bedroom. And we've also established quiet hours, so it would be a safe environment for the guests and for the neighborhood as well.
When she says it is not a business, it truly is a business. You're collecting money, you're having to get a permit, you're advertising. It is a business. And this is a single-family residential neighborhood.
Do you currently live there? I would like to know, do you already live at that address?
Yes, yes, Your Honor.
She lives there. Any other questions from the board of the applicants? All right, thank you very much. Any opposition to this request? Any opposition? Motion, please.
I make the motion to deny the conditional use permit docket number 2025-C-12 for a bed and breakfast because the use would not be appropriate for the single-family neighborhood in which it is located.
Proper motion.
Motion by Ms. Atkinson, second by, second,
I'll second.
Mr. Ferguson, okay.
Ms. Atkinson,
Yes.
Mr. Ferguson,
Yes.
Dr. Fitz,
Yes.
Mr. Howell,
Yes.
Mr. Lockwood,
Yes.
Ms. Price,
Yes.
Chair Davenport.
Yes, your request has been denied, ma'am. You've got 30 days to go to circuit court if you wish to appeal the decision. Thank you for coming in. Our next request tonight, Blue House LLC, care of Jeffrey and Carmen Cruz, have filed an application requesting a conditional use permit to operate a short-term rental on the property located at 675 Shaker Mill Road. This property is zoned RE residential estate. Before we begin this one, Mr. Howell is going to have recuse himself from this request. He'll step outside and we'll come and get you when we finish, Mr. Howell.
Maybe.
Maybe, all right. Okay, go right ahead, ma'am.
Okay, sure. We had a pre-application meeting on March the 5th for the property that you mentioned and is highlighted in red. The current zoning is RE. Current land use is single-family residential. And here are a couple of property photos for your review, as well as a supplied site plan. And again, the applicants are requesting a CUP to operate a short-term rental. There's a zoning ordinance reference, so a conditional use permit is required to operate a short-term rental on property zoned RE. Below that are the specific use standards for short-term rental. You can find the supplied conditions on page 2. Number 1, a maximum of 3 rooms for rent. Number 2, a maximum of 3 guest vehicles in the designated parking area. Number 3, quiet hours will be from 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. Number 4, there will be no signage on the property. And number 5, if the property is ever sold or the applicant ceases the use, the CUP will be null and void. And then below that are the conditional use permit findings for reference. Back to page 1 for the points to consider. The board should consider the impact on permanent workforce housing availability in this part of the county if the existing single-family residence is converted into a short-term rental. And the board should consider if the proposed use is compatible with the surrounding area, including the existing single-family residential uses located adjacent to the property and in the general vicinity. That's all we have for a staff report. Be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions from the staff of the board? Any questions of the staff of the board? Thank you, ma'am. Are the applicants here? Would you step up, please, one of you? We'll need to get your full name and address, please.
Jeff Cruz, 7012 Palermo Street in Chattanooga.
You swear to tell the truth, sir?
Yes, sir.
Are you going to be speaking also, ma'am?
Yes,
All right.
my name is Carmen Cruz. My residency is in 7012 Palermo Drive, Chattanooga, Tennessee.
Okay, thank you very much. 2 points I want to bring up here. Obviously, this is a business that you're trying to put into a single-family residential neighborhood. How is it compatible with that neighborhood?
Well, I mean, from, like, when you compare it to a rental property, and, you know, our guests are quality guests, and we have strict adherence on it, so as far as comparing that, they're in there for 3 or 4 days and they're gone, never had a problem. We have a stack of reviews talking about the rural area, how nice it is and quiet. Yes, it's a business, but if we rent it, if we go the rental tenant route, we could get, I mean, I would look at that as, I don't really understand the difference.
Well, because when you're renting someone, it really isn't a business. You're, as I just mentioned, you heard me say before, you have to get a license to operate this as a business. You have to get permits to do it. You're advertising, you're collecting money once a week or a month or whatever, how often you have people coming in. So it is a business. And once you put a business in a single-family neighborhood, do we open the door for other businesses that want to do something very similar?
Yeah.
There's a big difference in short-term rental, having an entirely group of people coming in every 4 or 5 days than it is somebody living there for months at a time.
Right. Does it, well, it's zoned residential. I was going
It
to
is
talk about
zoned,
the density of it.
and it's occupied that way. That's the way the neighborhood's. And plus, your parking, when I pulled in the driveway there, I pulled in there, I didn't see anywhere to turn around to get in and out of that driveway. And you wanted to allow 3 cars, and you got a single wide driveway that backs out into a narrow street with a curve right before the house. It's rather
Busy street.
busy, I mean, rather dangerous. How are you going to handle, how would you handle the parking? I mean, what are you going to do to let 3 cars be able to turn around and pull out of that driveway?
You're talking about pull out straight?
Yeah.
Instead of backing out?
Right, yes.
Yeah, well, we could modify and we could fix that and put a turnaround in we got a big enough yard there to do that. We could, if that would make a difference.
Okay. All righty.
Do you have something you want to say, Carmen?
1 second.
Well, the zoning is designated for low-density residential development, and a short-term rental are considered compatible with that. We also, I still don't understand what is the difference between the business of renting long-term and renting short-term.
Rachel, would you
It's
explain
still
to them?
a business.
There are certain guidelines on long-term rentals and short-term. We'll let the staff kind of answer that question.
I guess the difference in the zoning ordinance is just that anything less than 30 days is considered a short-term rental, and anything 30 days or longer is considered a long-term residential use, which is permitted by right in the current zone. Anything less than 30 days is what requires the conditional use permit.
And that's why you're here.
Right.
And it is a business. All right. Any other questions from the board of the applicants? Yes, I'm going to ask it, are you in favor of this or in opposition to it?
I'm in favor, sir. I'm the property manager for it.
Come on up. We need to get your full name and address.
Yes, sir. Jose Sazo. I am at 4411 Plano Road, Bowling Green, Kentucky.
And you swear to tell the truth?
I swear to tell the
And
truth.
go ahead.
Yes, sir. So the property that we're seeing here, it has about a 30-foot turnaround whenever it's at the garage. It expands out, and people do usually turn around in that spot. It's about
Excuse me, are you using this now, short-term rental?
Yes, sir.
It's been in operation with no permit?
What do you mean?
How long have you been renting this out as short-term rental?
About a year.
So what happened for you to show up today?
We were not aware that this was a requirement at the time.
Okay. All right, go ahead and finish what you were saying, sorry.
Yes, sir. So there is a 30-foot about a 30-foot wide turnaround in front of the garage. It is a two-car garage, so there is enough span of at least 8 feet between the two. So added together, 16 minimum in order for vehicles to be able to turn around.
So they're willing to blacktop this?
There's blacktop on this.
But the 30-foot turn, I didn't see that when I went back there. But maybe I just wasn't looking in the right place.
Right in front of the garage. It widens out a pretty good amount.
Okay.
As far as the other concern, what was the other concerns?
It's a single-family neighborhood, and you're putting a business in the middle of the neighborhood.
Gotcha. Understood. Understood. So as far as compatibility within the area and whatnot, most of the people that we do have come out and stay in the area that have stayed there are professionals, lawyers, doctors that come over here to deliver babies. They come in over here and serve in the county in our courts. So they do provide it does provide a good service to the area. I take care of all the maintenance in the area, the upkeep. I am here to do those things. I'm a project manager myself for Paul Davis, so we do maintain the area upkept and make sure that it does fit into the remaining area. There is a farm across the way, so as far as compatibility between one and the other, it's a farm across the way with a residential area, so there's a little bit of a spectrum there.
Okay.
I got a question to the property manager.
Go ahead.
Are you licensed property manager? Are you a real estate agent or licensed through the state of Kentucky?
No, sir.
There's a regulation that you have to be licensed if you offer any kind of property for sale, lease, or rent.
Okay.
So
Understood.
if you're doing it yourself.
So she does everything herself as far as the
But
application.
you represented yourself as the property manager. Are you the maintenance guy?
I'm the maintenance guy.
That's the
yes,
correct
sir.
term you should use.
Thank you very much.
Be real careful because you're leaving yourself a wide open door.
All right. Thank you. I appreciate that, sir. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions of the applicant? Any other questions? Thank you all. Any opposition to this request? Any opposition? All right, motion, please.
I make the motion to deny the conditional use permit docket number 2025-C-13 for a short-term rental because it is not compatible as a business in a single-family residential area.
It's proper motion.
Motion by Ms. Atkinson and second by
Second.
Mr. Lockwood.
Ms. Atkinson?
Yes.
Mr. Ferguson?
Yes.
Dr. Fitz?
Yes.
Mr. Lockwood?
Yes.
Ms. Price?
Yes.
Chair Davenport?
Yes, your request has been denied. You've got 30 days to appeal to circuit court. Thank you all for coming down, though. Our next request tonight, B&T Fung Property LLC, care of Don H. Fung, has filed an application requesting a conditional use permit to operate 2 short-term rentals on the properties located at 109 West 14th Avenue, Units A and B. Now, these properties are zoned RM-4, multifamily residential. Yes, ma'am.
Do you want me to take a pause while Rachel grabs Mr. Howe for just a second so we can hear the
Oh,
presentation?
yeah, I'm sorry.
It's okay.
I forgot he was out there. Send him on back there.
You almost didn't give him that.
We don't want to leave him out.
Daniel, we're on the property at West 14th. You don't need me to read the whole thing again, do you? Of course not. Go right ahead, ma'am.
All right, thank you. All right. We had a pre-application meeting on March 24th for the property that you mentioned, or the properties that you mentioned, and that are highlighted in red. Current zoning are RM4. Current land use is single-family residential. And here are a couple of property photos for you. The front for the two properties, and then a picture of the rear off of the alley. And then here is a site plan that has been submitted with your application. And again, the applicants are requesting a CUP to operate 2 short-term rentals. The zoning ordinance reference, a conditional use permit is required to operate a short-term rental on property zoned RM4. Bottom of page 1 are specific use standards for short-term rentals. Looking at page 2 for the supplied conditions, a maximum of, that should be of and not if, a maximum of 3 rooms for rent per unit. Number 2, a maximum of 3 guest vehicles in the designated parking area per unit. Number 3, quiet hours will be from 11 p.m. to 7 a.m. Number 4, there will be no signage on the property. And number 5, if the property is ever sold or the applicant ceases the use, the CUP will be null and void for the respective unit sold, because there are 2 properties there. And then if this application is approved, staff suggests the following condition. The applicant shall obtain approval of a site work permit to pave the 2 rear alley parking spaces as shown on the attached site plan prior to the issuance of a short-term rental permit. So that's because they're proposing new parking in the rear off the alley. Below that.
This is in addition to the parkings in front?
Correct.
Okay.
So they're proposing two spaces per unit in the front, a garage space and an open air
Okay,
space, and then the one in the rear for each unit.
okay. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, sure. And then below that are the conditional use permit findings for your reference. Looking to the points to consider, the board should consider the impacts on permanent workforce housing availability in this part of the city if the existing single-family residences are converted into short-term rentals. And the board should consider if the proposed use is compatible with the surrounding area, including the existing single-family residential uses located adjacent to the property and in the general vicinity. That's all we have for a staff report. Be happy to answer any questions.
Did we approve
We do.
Yes,
at the
how
same
many
address, or?
Yes.
Correct. So there were 2 approved in '23, right here. They had a null and void clause in their application, and it has sold. So,
So it's the same 2 units that we approved the last time?
no, sir, it's 2 down. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It's-
Yeah,
okay.
and they had a null and void clause, and it has recently sold, so that is no longer a valid CUP
Okay.
for those.
Okay, all right. Any questions from the, were you finished? I'm
I am.
sorry. Okay. Any questions from the board or the staff? The applicants are here. Would you step up, please? Could we have your full name and address?
Yes, my name is Thang Phong, and my address is 1006 Bluebell Way, Bowling Green, Kentucky, 42104.
And do you swear to tell the truth, sir?
Yes, I do.
One of the board members was questioning the parking and the alley, getting in the alley behind it. Just kind of give us an idea how you think it's going to work.
So, since I've been on the property for several times, and then when I was there, the people that, the neighbor, they use that back alley to drive in there, and they park behind their house. And then I was thinking I'm gonna make the parking lot behind, and then we put up the fence around it, so our guests can access, open the gate, and then park their car there and close it for for secure.
Okay.
And then yeah, we're gonna pour concrete exactly look like a driveway on in the front,
Okay.
so our guests can have an additional parking lot behind the house.
How do they access that alley?
So they can access where the railroad, when you go up and down, and you look on the left, there's the one access entrance right there
Right.
for the back alley, and then on the Steuben Street, you can go on Steuben Street and look on the left, it should be another access.
So how are you going to direct your renters into this alley? I guess is the next question, yeah.
Yeah, so basically, I'm gonna put it on the guest instruction when usually we set it up and send it out the day before they check in. So there's the guest instruction that show them basically I'm gonna draw the map for them.
So where do they check in?
I'm sorry?
Where do they, when you say check in, where do they check in?
So usually the check-in time is 4 p.m.
I mean, what location do they check in? Where do you?
Do you meet the guests
No, it's like we use the smart clock, like automatic system. Like I'm not like physically like go out and see the guests. So we use the last 4 digits of their phone number for them to like to check in,
Code.
still check in.
So it's a
basically.
coded lock?
Yes.
It is a coded lock?
Yeah, there's the smart clock on there, and then they can use the code to access to the house.
Yeah.
To check in.
And where do you live in relationship to where this property is?
I'm the owner.
No, I know, but
Yeah.
where do you physically live?
What's your address?
1006 Bluebell Way, Bowling Green, Kentucky. I live in town, here in town. That's what you were trying to ask? Yeah.
Yes. All right. Any other questions of the applicant from the board? Any questions of the applicant of the board? Thank you, sir. Any opposition to this request? Any opposition? Motion, please.
I make the motion to approve the conditional use permit docket number 2025C18 for the short-term rentals with the conditions as presented in the staff report. The applicants shall obtain approval of a site work permit to pave the 2 rear alley parking spaces as shown on the attached site plan prior to the issuance of a short-term rental permit. The testimony presented in this public hearing has shown that the use is not detrimental to public health, safety, or welfare in the zone in which it is proposed. The use will not contribute toward an overburden of municipal services. The use will not result in increased traffic congestion, additional parking problems, substantial increase in population density, environmental problems, or corporate a nuisance. That the use otherwise meets the requirement of the zoning ordinance.
This proper motion.
Okay.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Lockwood, second by Ms. Atkinson.
Mr. Lockwood?
Yes.
Ms. Price?
Yes.
Ms. Atkinson?
Yes.
Mr. Ferguson?
Yes.
Dr. Fitz?
Yes.
Mr. Howell?
Yes.
Chair Davenport?
Yes, your request has been approved, sir. Thank you very much. You have a good evening.
Thank you.
Our next request tonight, Craig and Cody Runner have filed an application requesting a conditional use permit to operate a short-term rental on the property located on the north side of Cemetery Road at the southeastern intersection of Cemetery Road and Pleasant Hill Road. And this property is zoned RE Residential Estate.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We had a pre-application meeting in February for the property that you mentioned, and that is highlighted in red. Current zoning is RE. Current land use is vacant. Here are some property photos. And then here is the site plan for the property. And again, the applicants are requesting a CUP to operate a short-term rental. There's a zoning ordinance reference for Article 5, Section 5.1, that a CUP is required to operate a short-term rental on property zoned RE. Below that, the specific use standards for short-term rental. Looking at page 2 to the supplied conditions. Number 1, a maximum of 2 rooms for rent, and rooms will not be individually rented. Number 2, a maximum of 2 guest vehicles in the designated parking area, which contains a circle drive to eliminate backing out onto the roadway. Number 3, quiet hours will be from 11 p.m. to 7 a.m. And number 4, there will be no signage on the property. Below that are the conditional use permit findings for reference. Back to the points to consider. The board should consider if 7 short-term rentals within 3.7 miles on Cemetery Road is appropriate. And the board should consider if the proposed use is compatible with the surrounding area, including the existing single-family residential uses located adjacent to the property and in the general vicinity. But that's all we have for staff report. Be happy to answer any questions.
Any question of the staff from the board? Any question of the staff? All right. Is the applicant here? Yeah. I know you're not a runner, you're an Alcott, so you go right ahead, Mr. Alcott.
Sitting here on behalf of the applicant, my name is Mark Alcott. I'm an attorney in Bowling Green. I reside at 1340 College Street, just a couple blocks up the street.
Sure. Go right ahead.
It's my pleasure tonight to represent Craig Runner and Cody Runner, father and son. They've recently acquired the property. This particular property has a half acre. They own a little over 2.5 acres that surrounds the other parcel to the adjacent right as you're looking at the exhibit that you're looking at right now. Total, and that property overlooks Barren River directly. It basically slopes off in the back and goes directly from a higher vantage point on that side of the river where Cemetery Road is located, and that's what they have. It is unimproved. On it right now, there is an existing driveway where the driveway is proposed, where they come and go to the property. And the proposal is to build approximately about a 1,200 to 1,300 square foot home, A-frame with a deck overlooking the river, and with 2 bedrooms and 2 baths. And so that's the maximum of 2 bedrooms. Understanding your questions in regard to businesses, long-term, short-term rentals, there's nothing on this at this point. There is a highway business property within 0.2 of a mile. Masters Boarding Kennels is within about a mile. There's 2 particular nurseries where people buy flowers and pick flowers within a half-mile radius. And so there are other businesses on this road. In regard to a short-term rental business, typically the owner doesn't go to the business on a regular basis. The people that are going to that business are people that are going to reside in the home. That's what their purpose is there. And so the difference between a short-term rental and the other businesses is that there are not people coming on a regular basis back and forth and multiple clients coming to that location. It's typically 1 to 2 cars that will be there on a maximum on any day that the home is occupied. And so we believe it's compatible with the area. Cemetery Road is a very well-traveled road. As you know, that's on the way to Barren River Lake. And so it's a very popular destination for people to want to be in that location and area in Warren County.
I do have a question. When I went out there, I couldn't pull in that driveway because there were 2 vehicles there. So there's no way to circle around in that driveway, and I wasn't about to back out on Cemetery Road where that curve is.
Right.
Do they have plans to address that issue with that? Because that little driveway, if there's 2 cars parked there and somebody comes,
Well, as you can see from the exhibit, I think that's a very good question, Chair Davenport, and that they would have to make a driveway that's accommodating. It's like nobody would ever want to back into Cemetery Road. And so that's why the proposal is to do a circle drive that would be easy for people to maneuver vehicles and exiting that location. That's the entire purpose, and this hasn't been used as short-term rental because the only thing you could do on there is pitch a tent.
Yeah. Okay. Any other questions from the board of the?
Are they gonna put in the turnaround and everything at the start of construction on this project where trucks and cars going in?
That's really the best way for this to be built. I mean, he's shown me proposals of what he likes to build. It's going to be very nice, but for any builder to come with a building truck, they're going to need adequate way to get in and out of that property. I would say that's an affirmative, sir.
I think the question in my mind is, with a short-term rental, those are people unfamiliar with the area most of the time. In other words, they're renting a property occasionally. They may have never been on Cemetery Road before. My concern is the safety of the individuals that might be renting as people unfamiliar. So when you're comparing other businesses, totally appreciate that and understand it's not like a commercial use where you're going to get multiple people in and out, a lot of traffic. But my concern is for the people that would rent and being unfamiliar, because we all agree no one would want to back out. In fact, it's bad enough to pull out onto Cemetery Road, especially with that curve. Is there anything, any way that can be addressed?
Well, no, I mean, we can't just rent to people that say, do you know Cemetery Road? That's impractical, as you would know from your question. But this is a residential zone. They could build an A-frame house and just live in it, and people are going to be coming and going from that. And yes, they would be more familiar if they go there every day. But as in being a danger and safety, Cemetery Road has people that are on it every day that have never been on that road. Doesn't mean that we don't allow people on that road. That is one of the main thoroughfares to get to the lake. And, once upon a time, one of my buddies decided to ride a bicycle on that road to Barren River Lake, and it was the worst decision he ever made because a truck pushed him off the road and he had to call somebody to pick him up. And so we're not advocating that Cemetery Road is a perfect road, but it is where a lot of people like to be. Barren River is a place where people recreate, and this is compatible with the surrounding area.
I got a question. The highway department, do they require you to meet a certain guideline to have a culvert and an entrance into that property?
Mr. Ferguson, that's a good question. I don't know the particular answer to that, but however, to get an address for that property where you can get a mailbox, the Highway Department of Transportation has to authorize the entrance there, which there is an entrance there now to the property. And so, yes, there has to be coordination for doing that.
Okay, I just wondered if you could move the entrance, into a safer location.
It has to be in that general location. As you can see, the road frontage is not, we don't have miles of road frontage, but there's already a private road entrance there on the adjacent property and an entrance there. It's going to have to be in that general vicinity, but it will be placed in the safest place possible for that property.
Does he own that private road?
No, he only owns the part that you see, and he owns, if there's another way we could go back to the total size. Oh, he does own the private road. If you'll look at this property, he owns all the dark. The red is the area where the building will be, but he does own the private road that goes up the side.
Okay, so he won't have to get an easement of some kind? Or, if you've got a separate tract of land?
He owns the property.
Okay.
He owns 2.6 acres there. That is everything but the yellow in the middle.
So what's the yellow in the middle?
It's
Just
it's an
different
adjacent
property
landowner.
owner? Different property owner?
Yes.
It's vacant.
No, it has a home on it.
Does it have a home on it? I couldn't see it.
Yeah, that's just a dangerous spot. But
It has an
wonder if there could be
overlooking, it
something
has a
done.
deck overlooking the river too. And that's what's anticipated here.
Very good. All right, any other questions from the board of the applicant? Dr. Fitz?
Don't you feel like this is a unique situation as far as roads are concerned, even on Cemetery Road?
From what perspective, Dr. Fitz?
Because we have roads going in three directions. And we've got these cutoffs, because I was out there looking at the property, there are cutoffs and you have to be very careful where you go up, and so you can go around if you're gonna go to the,
Pleasant Hill.
Pleasant Hill.
Pleasant Hill.
And you just got, it's a very complicated little, set of roads, in this particular location. I don't know, I drove up and I've been driving up Cemetery Road for a long time, and this is the only thing that I can know of that is this unique.
Well, I've lived here since 1977, and the first girl I dated when I was 16-year-old lived off that first road that you turn onto. And when I was 16-year-old, there was just as much traffic as is out there today, and it's not a perfect road. There's no way you can put that. There's not really a perfect road in this world when it comes down to it. But it is a road that has, I would estimate, a couple thousand cars that go down it a day pretty easily. And this use is going to put 1 to 2 cars more. And so it's infinitesimal in the amount of impact that it'll have in regard to traffic that is already there.
It'll increase traffic.
Right.
I just think that it's a very unique location, and if you are not familiar with all that's going on in that particular location with the three roads going in three directions, you will find it more complicated. At least, of course, I've been here since '75, got your feet.
Yes, you do.
And you know, I had more trouble looking for this lot than almost any of the properties that I've seen in a long time because of all of those connections. You have to figure out a place to park your car to think about even looking at it.
Well, if you can't pull onto the property, it does have a minimal use, minimal gravel on it, as you can see from the,
Yeah, I understand.
it'll be
I
a
understand.
well-maintained,
Well, it's just a lot of land, I understand that.
and so, you know, we're talking about 1 or 2 cars a day, and that's in regard to compatibility. And so that's the issue. We have a highway business 2 parcels down.
Mr. Alcott, from my own personal experience, when I went out to inspect this property, I was slowing down to find the property. There's no signage going to be on the property. And my concern, when I was slowing down, there was a car coming behind me that I could tell in my mirror that was going pretty fast. And I'm slowing down trying to find out where I'm going. Luckily, I knew where I was, so I turned right into Pleasant Hill Road to get out of the car coming behind me, which went flying on by. And then I pulled out Pleasant Hill Road to Cemetery Road. That is my concern, is you're going to have people coming in that don't know where this is. That is a screwy little area, like Dr. Fitz said. And they're going to be going slow to find this property. There's no address that says, well, it says 0, whatever your address is going to be.
There is not an address there
Yeah,
at this
and-
point.
And for people that aren't used to living here or don't live here, like I said, from my own experience, I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to get out of here. And luckily, I pulled in there instead of going, and then when I pulled in and turned around, I could see the sign knowing where the property was. And then I thought, well, I'll go up into the driveway. Well, there's 2 cars in the driveway. And so when I went by, there wasn't any way to pull in that driveway unless I backed back out again. So that's,
Well, the current
That's just
use isn't
concern.
the proposed use.
Yeah.
And the only way I can respond to you, Chair Davenport, is that when I'm going to a location that I'm new to, the first thing I do is put in the address, which there will be an address here, and Google Maps or Apple Maps takes me directly to that, and it tells me whether I'm a quarter mile away, half mile away, 10 miles away, or 100 feet away. And so it gives you a pretty good idea, even if you're not familiar with the property, where it's going to be and that it's going to be coming up. Now,
not everyone
can't
uses
control-
Google though, like me. I didn't have Google. I just knew where I was going, and not everyone uses Google. And
well,
you know,
typically the average person traveling, that's a pretty good device to use, and I would recommend you try it.
It's not that I never have used it, I just didn't have it at that time, because I knew where I was going.
Because we didn't have an address.
Yeah, exactly. All right, any other questions of the applicants? Thank you, sir.
Thank
Any
you for your time.
opposition? I'm sorry.
Thank
Any
you for your
opposition?
time.
Yes, ma'am, come on up. We'll need to swear you in, if you don't mind, your full name and address.
My name is Kim Harrington, and I live in the property joining Mr. Runner's. I'm 7552 Cemetery Road,
And you swear-
Bowling Green, Kentucky.
I'm sorry, you swear to tell the truth, ma'am?
I do.
Do you want to speak too?
So
All
my
right.
name's Scott Cheek. I live at 7552 Cemetery Road at the same place.
Do you swear to tell the truth, sir?
I swear to tell.
All right, go right ahead, ma'am.
My concerns are the same as everyone else's, the driveway there. My family's lived at this residence since 1983, and I cannot tell you the wrecks that have happened in my front yard. And my driveway's a little piece down, and it will get you killed pulling out of it. I promise you, daily, I pull in and out of there, and every time I know to look. I know to look. And I'll look, that just Friday, I went to pull out, and there was a truck coming with a boat down the hill, around the curve, and I looked, I did not see it, because you can't, and because they're going so fast coming off that hill and around the curve. And then I just also feel like if it's a short-term rental, he's going to be promoting the river gravel bar down there behind the property, and then such as people going to the lake. That's who's going to rent the Airbnb or whatever you call them. It's going to be people wanting to go to the lake or wanting to kayak the river. So therefore, they would be hauling water equipment, and to pull out of that driveway, they would have to use both sides of Cemetery Road. There would be no way to pull out and stay in their lane. They would have to use both sides, and so that's just my concern.
All righty. You want to comment? Okay, good enough. Thank you. Any questions from this lady of the board? Looking at the property, you live on the left-hand side? If we're
Yes.
facing the property?
Yes,
On the
ma'am.
left, okay, all right.
No, right, no, to the right.
On the right-hand side?
That's
Oh, that's
the
the house,
yellow
it's,
block.
that's on the,
Yeah.
on the lot, okay. The one I thought was vacant, but it's not, okay,
Yes.
all right. All right, any other questions from this lady?
Mr. Alcott, do you care to cross-examine her?
Okay,
Yeah,
all right.
they live.
Thank you very much.
This one, yeah.
All righty, any other opposition? Thank you, ma'am. Any other opposition? Motion, please.
I make the motion to deny the conditional use permit docket number 2025-C-20 for a short-term rental because the use would be detrimental to the public safety in the zone in which it is proposed.
Could you address in that motion specifically the traffic concerns?
Yes. As previously expressed, this particular part of Cemetery Road is in a curve, and the concern are the speeds and traffic through that area, and especially concern for people being unfamiliar as a short-term renter.
That's the proper motion.
Okay. Motion by Ms. Atkinson, second by Mr. Lockwood. Okay.
Ms. Atkinson?
Yes.
Mr. Ferguson?
No, and the reason why I'd like to have seen a little bit more detail about the highway department's requirements, and I don't want to restrict an owner of a piece of property's use, the highest and best use of the property. And, but the main reason is my no vote is not enough information about the highway department.
Dr. Fitz?
Yes.
Mr. Howell?
Yes.
Mr. Lockwood?
Yes.
Ms. Price?
Yes.
Chair Davenport?
Yes. Your request has been denied. You've got, the process. You got 30 days to go to circuit court. Thank you for coming down. Our next request tonight, Emily Togstad, applicant and owner, and Thomas Togstad, owner, have filed an application requesting a conditional use permit to operate a short-term rental in an existing accessory apartment on the property located at 510 SB Thomas Road. Now, this property is zoned AG agricultural. Yes, ma'am. Rachel.
Thank you, Chair Davenport. We had a pre-application meeting back in April for the property you just referenced on SB Thomas Road, outlined in red on the aerial view. The current zoning is agriculture. The current land use is also agriculture. And we have some property photos for reference. And then looking at your site plan, you can see that the proposed short-term rental is generally in this location here. And it's proposed to be located in an existing accessory apartment. Then looking down midway on page 1, we have the zoning ordinance reference, which requires a conditional use permit for a short-term rental on property zoned agriculture. And the applicant supplied 6 conditions on page 2. Number 1, there will be a maximum of 1 room for rent. Number 2, a maximum of 2 guest vehicles in the designated parking area. Number 3, the owner will be present on the property during times of occupancy. Number 4, quiet time from 10 p.m. to 7 a.m. 5, there will be no signage on the property. And 6, if the property is sold or the applicant ceases the use, the CUP will be null and void. And then looking back to page 1, we have no points to consider pending public hearing and testimony. Be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions of the staff from the board? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Applicant's here. Your left. Your full name and address, please.
My name is Emily Togstad, and I live at 510 SB Thomas Road.
Do you swear to tell the truth, ma'am?
I do.
That's way back there.
Isn't it? It's far.
I really don't have
Nobody's
any
gonna
questions. You just got up there, so we'll swear you in, but it's way back there.
It's way back there. Nobody can see it. It's a huge, long road. I'm going to be there, so I'm probably going to be the only one that has a problem with it.
Exactly. Any questions of the applicant from the board? Any question of the applicant? Thank you, ma'am. Is any opposition to this request? Any opposition? A motion, please.
I make a motion to approve the conditional use permit docket number 2025-C-21 for a short-term rental with the conditions as presented in the staff report. Testimony presented in this public hearing has shown that the use is not detrimental to public health, safety, or welfare in the zoning which is proposed. The use will not contribute to an overburdening of municipal services. This will not result in increased traffic congestion, additional parking problems, substantial increase in population density, environmental problems or constitute a nuisance, and that the use otherwise meets the requirements of the zoning ordinance, and that the use of the property is compatible with its location in the county.
That's the proper motion.
Second.
Motion, Dr. Fitz, second by Ms. Atkinson.
Dr. Fitz?
Yes.
Mr. Howell?
Yes.
Mr. Lockwood?
Yes.
Ms. Price?
Yes.
Ms. Atkinson?
Yes.
Mr. Ferguson?
Yes.
Chair Davenport?
Yes, your request has been approved, ma'am. Thank you, and good luck to you back there. Appreciate it. Our next request tonight, Goldenrod Pediatric Speech Therapy, LLC, care of Haley Davis applicant, and Haley and Justin Davis owner, have filed an application requesting a conditional use permit for a home occupation, more specifically for speech therapy, on the property located at 711 Emma Lane. The property is zoned RE Residential Estate. Ms. Rachel.
Thank you again, Chair Davenport. We had a pre-application meeting back in April for the property on Emma Lane, outlined in red on the aerial view. The current zoning, as you mentioned, is RE Residential Estate. Current land use is single family, and we have some photos of the property for your review. And this is the applicant supplied site plan. I'll leave that up on the screen as I go through the rest of the staff report. But looking down at the middle of page 1, you'll see that section 5.1 of the zoning ordinance requires a conditional use permit to operate a home occupation on property zoned RE. The applicant supplied 5 conditions on page 2. Number 1, hours of operation are Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. by appointment only. 2, there will be a maximum of 1 client or family unit receiving services on the property at a time. 3, a maximum of 2 client vehicles on the property at a time. 4, if the property is sold, the CUP will be null and void. And 5, there shall be no employees involved in such home occupation that do not reside on the premises. Looking back to page 1, we have no points to consider pending any public hearing and testimony. Be happy to answer any questions.
All right. Any questions from the board of the staff? Question of the staff? All right, thank you. Applicant here. Would you mind coming up, please? We need to swear you in. Your full name
I'm Haley Davis,
and your address,
711 Emma Lane, Bowling Green, Kentucky.
and you swear to tell the truth, ma'am?
I do.
Thank you. Obviously, this is a very nice, single-family, residential neighborhood.
Yes.
And you're wanting to open up a business in this neighborhood. I would just guess that most of the property owners, when they bought in this estate area neighborhood, did not anticipate a business going in their neighborhood.
Sure.
How do you feel this is compatible with all these very nice homes, including yours?
Sure.
How's this business compatible with that neighborhood that's all single-family residential?
Yeah. So, as a speech therapist, what I'm proposing is a business that is not going to increase foot traffic, if that makes sense. I see clients individually, so I do not see groups of children. I see 1 child per time. My sessions are 45 minutes long, and then I would not be structuring these sessions to go back to back, so there would not be an increase of foot traffic where a parent's pulling in and a parent's pulling out. That would not happen. I know that there are other businesses in the surrounding areas that are within the homes as well. And I also do not plan on this being the sole part of my business. So what I'm proposing is to do this as part of my business, but also I'm going to be offering teletherapy or virtual services. So some of my sessions that I'll be doing with children will be just me on my computer with kids. And I'm also going to be offering mobile services. So I will be going and seeing children as well. So my business, my clientele, the entirety of my clientele will not be coming to my home, not every single one of them. It'll only be part of that. And so I think that allows for this to be more, acceptable in the neighborhood. I have spoken to my neighbors in the neighborhood. Nobody has given me any concern or given any negative comments about it. And I think it would be really beneficial for the area. I know that South Warren area is a really booming area, and I also know that there is a lot of children who need speech therapy who are not receiving the good amount of speech therapy at these schools. And so this is what I'm doing. I'm just addressing a need.
Well, your comment that a lot of children need it. Most businesses, they like to increase their business. They want more and more customers and patients.
Sure.
Well, how are you going to do that in your house and abide by what you're saying you're going to do by only seeing one or two people every now and then?
Well, that's because I'm going to
As
do
your
the...
business grows I think I can handle one more, or maybe I can handle another one. And the next thing you know, you've got 3 or 4 people there and 4 or 5 cars in the driveway or parking on the street.
Sure.
And the business is going to grow, which is going to make it a real business in this neighborhood.
I do not plan on this being a 40-hour-a-week venture for me. I plan on this being a part-time venture for me. My husband has a very good job and supports us very, very well financially. This is more of a passion for me. So what I envision myself doing is having no more than 15 to 20 clients, truly. That is what I want. I do not want more than that because that's excessive. And like I said, I also do not plan on all of my clientele being children that come to my home. I do plan on also providing virtual services. I am very proficient in that. I did that for 4 years. And also going to families outside of my home who need it.
When you mentioned that your neighbors have no problem with it, we have found in the past a lot of times the neighbors will tell you they have no problem with it because neighbors don't want to be bad neighbors and they don't want to have a dispute with a neighbor that they like. So a lot of people just grin and bear it and keep their mouth shut at a meeting like this. And they leave it up to people like us to make a decision whether we should put a business in their neighborhood or not.
Sure.
And we have to look at it to see if it's going to be compatible with that neighborhood. And once you put one business in, even though yours is a very nice, specialized type business, it opens the door for all these other home occupation businesses that can start applying too. And once we approve one, then, we got a hair salon, we got a child care, 3 to 6 children, we got catering, we got academic tutoring. And the next thing, it creates a real concern in the neighborhoods, and it's a nice neighborhood. And even though we are a board of relief to let you use your property the way you want to, we are also a board of protection to protect the neighborhoods from being taken over by businesses.
Sure. I think my argument would be that I moved into this home much later than everybody else in that neighborhood. That neighborhood was established in 2018. My husband and I moved there in 2023. So I would say that if they had wanted to do a home business within that time span, they probably would have come and asked for that business. I would say that also the fact that my home is in the very front of the neighborhood is not going to cause any traffic within that neighborhood. My house is the very first house on Emma Lane. So honestly, most of my neighbors are not even going to see the people coming in and out because they live behind me. So I can't speak to other people who may want to have business ventures in the future. I'm just speaking to myself. And like I said, I'm not planning on this being the entirety of my business, but I do think that it'll be a beneficial part of the business, especially with families who are coming within that area. Maybe if they're coming home from school in the afternoons and the parents want to stop by and do therapy before they go home. I just want that to be a part of it. This has been a dream of mine. There are many speech therapists in many different states that do this, and it's their whole thing. They just do therapy at their home, and I'm not doing that. I'm just offering it as part of it, but
you make a very good case of what you're saying, but it's still a business. And there are a lot, you don't need a lot of space in what you say. You don't have a lot of equipment and things. There are a lot of places where you can rent a small space and still accomplish what you're trying to do, probably within a mile or two of where you live.
I could, but I don't want to.
Think about. All right.
Chair Davenport, I may address one thing you said earlier with the concerns about the number of clients or vehicles. There are conditions that limit no more than 1 client or family unit at a time and no more than 2 vehicles.
Right.
So if this were approved, she would be bound by those conditions. She wouldn't be able to have 5 cars or 6 clients at a time.
But the problem with that is if they do have 1 or 2 more clients, we don't have any police who could tell us that that's going on. There's no way for us to control
the
it.
neighbors are the best
If they will.
to inform us.
Yeah,
and if that were to happen, we would proceed with code enforcement.
You're exactly right. Thank you very much. All right, any other question of the applicant from the board? Any questions? Thank you, ma'am, appreciate it. Any opposition to this request? Any opposition? All right, motion, please.
I make a motion we approve the conditional use permit docket number 2025-C-22 for a home occupation, specifically speech therapy, with the conditions as presented in the staff report. Testimony presented in this public hearing has shown that the use is not detrimental to the public health, safety, or welfare in the zone in which is proposed. The use will not contribute to an overburden of municipal services. Use will not result in increased traffic congestion, additional parking problems, substantial increase in population density, environmental problems, or constitute a nuisance, and that the use otherwise meets the requirements of the zoning ordinance. And I feel like that this is compatible, this particular kind of therapy is compatible with a home residential use.
Proper motion.
Second.
Okay, motion, Dr. Fitz, second by Ms. Atkinson.
Dr. Fitz?
Yes.
Mr. Howell?
No, I don't think it, being a business is compatible with the neighborhood.
Mr. Lockwood?
Yes.
Ms. Price?
Yes.
Ms. Atkinson?
Yes.
Mr. Ferguson?
Yes.
Chair Davenport?
No, I agree with Mr. Howell. I don't think it's compatible with the neighborhood, but your request has been approved. So thank you very much and good luck to you. Our next request tonight, CHM Capital LLC, care of Clay and Haley Miles, have filed an application requesting a conditional use permit to operate a short-term rental on the property located at 218 Riverwood Avenue. The property is zoned RM3, townhouse, multifamily, residential. Yes, ma'am, Rachel.
Thank you, Chair Davenport. We had a pre-application meeting back in April for 218 Riverwood Avenue. As you mentioned, the property is currently zoned RM3, and the current land use is single-family residential. Here are a few photos of the property and the site plan that was submitted by the applicant. Looking at the middle of page 1, you'll see section 5.1 of the zoning ordinance requires a CUP to operate a short-term rental on property zoned RM3. And then on page 2, we have the conditions that were supplied by the applicant. Number 1, a maximum of 3 rooms for rent. Number 2, a maximum of 3 guest vehicles in the designated parking area. 3, quiet hours will be from 11 p.m. to 7 a.m. 4, there will be no signage on the property. And 5, rooms will not be individually rented. On page 1, we have a few points for your consideration. The first is that the board should consider the impact on permanent workforce housing availability in this part of the city if the existing single-family home is converted into a short-term rental. Second, the board should consider if a concentration of 4 short-term rentals within a 2-block radius is appropriate. And last, the board should consider if the proposed use is compatible with the surrounding area, including the existing single-family residential uses that are located adjacent to the property. That is all for the staff report, but I'm happy to answer any questions.
Any questions of the staff and the board? Thank you, Rachel.
Thank you.
Applicant here? Yep. Would you step up, please? We've got a couple of questions, perhaps. Get your full name and address.
Clay and Haley Miles, 663 Huntington Street.
You swear to tell the truth, sir?
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much. The parking is my biggest concern. I went by there Tuesday. There were 3 vehicles there. One was in the driveway and 2 parked on the street. I went by again today and I pulled in the driveway to see where the cars are going to park and how you turn around to get out of there.
Yep.
And my only choice was to back out of the driveway.
Right.
And obviously that's a concern. How do you plan on accommodating the 3 cars? And I couldn't find any place to park behind the driveway. I mean, when I pulled down the driveway, does that make sense?
So there used to be an existing garage there that we demoed when we purchased the property. So we plan to pave that and then have parking spots lined out in the back there.
Will they be deep enough where you can pull in that spot and back out?
They
and
should
turn
be
around?
sufficient to, like, you would pull into the left and then to be able to back out and turn around and go back to the street.
Yeah, because there's on the piece at the very end of the driveway where the garage is, there's a big tree stump right in the middle of that. I don't think anybody's going to drive over that tree stump.
I plan to excavate all that
So you plan on putting the parking to the left on the driveway, is what you're saying?
Like when you pull into I guess the back of the driveway, where the garage was, we're gonna pave all that to the brick retaining wall, and then there'll be 3 individual parking spots in the back there.
Okay,
So pull in like this.
okay, all right.
How is it currently being occupied?
It's vacant.
Okay.
It was currently a residential rental from the prior owner.
If I'm not mistaken, this would be the 4th
Yeah.
or 5th house on that same block that's got 11 houses on it.
It's right across from the
On the
hospital.
same block, two. One was approved at 216, and they're proposing this one at 218. And if you look at the map, there's 2 more around the corner that were approved.
There's one on Broccoli,
Yeah,
and there's another one in the block down below.
yeah, so just down this corner.
All right.
So around Broccoli. So 216 was approved, they're proposing one here, and then there were 2 more that were approved.
So that means this would be the 5th one, is that what? To be the 4th one, and basically a quarter of a mile radius right through there. That's getting to be a lot of short-term rentals on one street there.
Well, the one reason it probably is because it's right across the street from the hospital where they have lots and lots and lots of people who are
People
coming
using, yeah.
and going for various reasons.
So if we approve this, you'll have no problem with one of the conditions being that you do have to fix that parking?
Yeah.
For sure, okay. All right. Any other questions of the applicant from the board? Thank you all very much. Any opposition to this request? Any opposition? All right, motion, please.
I'll make a motion that we approve this conditional use permit docket number 2025-C-23 for a short-term rental. I'm sorry, I only have one question that I need to ask.
Sure, come back up, please.
If you sell this property, are you in agreement that the conditional use
Would be no.
would be null and void?
If need be.
If need be, we're
Yeah.
fine with that.
We're fine with that. Okay, 1, 2. Let's see.
In other words, they have to come back and do the same thing you're doing.
Right.
Same thing you're doing.
All right.
Yeah, we're
We'll
actually,
be back here next month.
next
doing
month.
that.
So,
All right, so let's see, the conditional use, conditions as presented in the staff report, plus that if the property is ever sold, the conditional use will be null and void. And in addition, that the parking lot in the rear of the house will be completed prior to any use by other residents. The testimony presented in this public hearing has shown that the use is not detrimental to public health, safety, or welfare in the zone in which it's proposed. The use will not contribute to an overburdening of municipal services. The use will not result in increased traffic congestion, additional parking problems, substantial increase in population density, environmental problems, or constitute a nuisance, and that the use otherwise meets the requirements of the zoning ordinance, and it is compatible with other uses in this same neighborhood.
Proper motion.
Second.
Motion by Dr. Fitz, second by Mr. Lockwood.
Dr. Fitz?
Yes.
Mr. Howell?
Yes.
Mr. Lockwood?
Yes.
Ms. Price?
Yes.
Ms. Atkinson?
Yes.
Mr. Ferguson?
Yes.
Chair Davenport?
Yes, your request has been approved. Thank you all very much. Good luck to you there. That concludes our current agenda, and we have an old business. I hope you're Brian Elkins. All right. All right. Under old business, Brian Elkins has filed an application requesting a conditional use permit to operate a short-term rental on the property located at 1111 Luther Lawrence Road. This property is zoned AG agricultural. Rachel,
Thank you,
finish
Chair
this up here,
Davenport.
gal.
Yep, last one. We had a pre-application meeting back in March for this property on Luther Lawrence Road, outlined in red. The applicant is requesting a CUP for a short-term rental in the ag zone. There are 5 conditions on page 2. Number 1, there will be a maximum of 3 rooms for rent. Number 2, a maximum of 3 guest vehicles in the designated parking area. Number 3, quiet hours will be from 11 p.m. to 7 a.m. Number 4, there will be no signage on the property. And number 5, if the property is sold or the applicant ceases the use, the CUP will be null and void. The site plan is on the screen for your reference, but with that, I'll go back to page 1, and we have no points to consider pending public hearing and testimony. Be happy to answer any questions.
All right, any questions of the staff from the board? Thank you. Applicant is here, Mr. Elkins. Does the board have any questions of the applicant? That's really a pretty lot there. I'd like to have a house sitting up there looking at it.
That whole area is beautiful.
That's a beautiful area up there, it really is. Yeah. All right, any?
But I am glad he showed up tonight.
Yes, we're glad you showed up. That's all right.
All right.
All right, board have any questions of the applicant? None. Any opposition to this request? All right, motion, please.
I make a motion to approve the conditional use permit, docket number 2025-C-17, for a short-term rental with the conditions as presented in the staff report. The testimony presented in this public hearing has shown that the use is not detrimental to the public health, safety, or welfare in the zone in which it's proposed. The use will not contribute to an overburdening of municipal services. The use will not result in increased traffic congestion, additional parking problems, substantial increase in population density, environmental problems, or constitute nuisance, and that the use otherwise meets the requirements of the zoning ordinance. It seems quite compatible with the
Proper motion.
rural setting.
Second.
All right, motion by Dr. Fitz, second by Ms. Atkinson.
Dr. Fitz?
Yes.
Mr. Howell?
Yes.
Mr. Lockwood?
Yes.
Ms. Price?
Yes.
Ms. Atkinson?
Yes.
Mr. Ferguson?
Yes.
Chair Davenport?
Yes, your request has been approved, sir. Thank you for coming down. All righty, any new business?
Oh, my goodness.
I think we did pretty darn good tonight. We're adjourned. I think we did pretty good. We moved through there in an hour and 5 minutes. That's not bad at all. Y'all did a great job tonight. Thank you. I thought we did excellent.